Donald Trump has been absolutely losing it after a federal judge, Judge Leon in Washington, D.C., ruled to block Donald Trump's further construction of his $400 million golden ballroom. The judge said, I have an elegant solution for you, Donald. Why don't you go to Congress, as the Constitution requires, ask them to authorize it. Then if you want to have private funds pay for it, you can do that. But the Constitution says that Congress has the power of the purse. There are no statutes that say that you can get around Congress and just tear down the East Wing and build a golden ballroom by yourself. You need Congress's approval, and we have a system of checks and balances. You violated it. I hereby block the golden ballroom. And the judge is like, the bad news for defendants, Trump, the White House, is that you won't be able to build your golden ballroom right now, but be patient. The good news is just go to Congress, right? You control both the House and the Senate, and ask them to authorize it. Then you'll be good. And then you can build your golden ballroom, and then everybody's happy, right? The National Trust that filed the lawsuit, their legitimate interests in co-equal branches of government is vindicated, and you get your ballroom. Seems like an elegant solution. So Donald Trump's been responding with social media posts. I mean, there's this one with like a gigantic paragraph that I don't even feel like reading because it's just him whining about this is going to be the greatest ballroom ever, and why would the judge do this? And the National Trust is a radical leftist group, and communism and men's and women's sports, and wow. There was all of that. Then he was like, and Biden is filthy, and Biden's filthy, and we're here to clean up things like the reflecting pool. It's dirty. It's like, meanwhile, Donald Trump's like buildings and his clubs have been like cited over and over again in the past for like health violations and things like this. But then Donald Trump, in that disastrous Oval Office press conference that he held, he was like, okay. The judge did say that for security purposes, like his ruling wasn't blocking measures to keep the White House safe. And so Donald Trump's like, oh, so really what this ballroom is all about was it helps me avoid getting hit with drones and ballistic missiles. And the ballroom is actually not a ballroom. It is part of a bunker facility that will prevent me from being targeted by drones. So it's an anti-drone bunker, everybody. That's what it is. It's an anti-drone bunker. So we're going to keep on building it. We're not going to follow the court's order, which is going to piss Judge Leon off, because the ballroom is really anti-drone bunker. That's what it's for. Not to do all of the things Trump said that it was going to be for, like, we get to host Xi Jinping here. Anyway, here's what Donald Trump said in the Oval Office. So you can see this is actually tough to watch. So I'm going to cut it off and not let you watch the whole thing, because we'll both not want to watch it, but we have to watch a little bit of it to understand, or at least try to understand what the hell he's saying. Let's play it.
Congressional approval. He also said, but this is positive for us, I'm allowed, that meaning we are allowed to continue building as necessary to, let's see, what is that? To cover the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So it says here very carefully, the safety and security have to be protected of the White House grounds. Well, that's what we're doing, because everything's bulletproof glass, et cetera, including the ballroom. And then it goes construction and all of the things necessary. It says personal safety of the president and his staff are a part of that. So it talks about that we're allowed to continue building. In other words, he put an order on, and even that he gave 14 days. We don't need it, because that's what we're doing. He's allowed to continue building as necessary. And when it talks about the safety and security of the White House and its grounds. So just so you know, I wrote some of the thing down. We have a drone-proof roof, and it talks about the president and his staff. Well, we don't have a lot of bulletproof glass. The White House was built a long time ago. This has the highest level of, in fact, they call this the glass, it's bulletproof and it's ballistic proof. It's very thick. It's like that. And it's going 45 feet high, and every window is covered, every door is covered. The roof is drone proof. We have secure air handling systems. Bad things happen in the air if you have bad people.
All right, you get where he's going to go with this. Let's bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds podcast, and Talking Feds Substack. How is this timeline that we're living in? I guess number one, you don't actually have to answer that because you don't. But Judge Leon, 2002, George W. Bush appointee, senior judge, no nonsense. He initially rejected the preliminary injunction on grounds of technicalities that the plaintiffs did not plead the specific ultra vires kind of statute and didn't do it the right way. Then once it was done the right way, the judge made the plaintiffs go through the motions. And I think the plaintiffs even hired a new law firm that got it right. And then, and then the judge granted it. But then Trump's response to that, which Judge Leon is not going to appreciate, is, well, this is all to stop drones. So I can keep on building it, actually, because the ballroom is actually the anti-drone ballroom. So what do you make of it, Harry?
First, did you catch the logic of what Trump said, actually trying to grapple with a legal ruling? You need to build the ballroom. Why is that? To protect the safety and security of the ballroom. That's literally what his argument is. And you are very correct. Judge Leon is no nonsense, and he's going to have no patience for this at all. I want to think just a step back about what's happening here. So this is the biggest kind of, and I would say most grotesque, but maybe some architects would feel otherwise, change to the DC really sort of serene, carefully developed central area ever. And if you compare the planning that we've had in this one to the planning for any sort of far away addition to some agency, it's minuscule. They have taken no time at all. Indeed, today, Trump, in obvious reaction to a newspaper report that chastened him, a couple of days ago, a newspaper came out and said, oh, here are the drawings. Little problem here. There's a staircase that leads nowhere. And so 2 days before this vote, all by his lackeys to approve, and they'll approve, a girt, a lean-to shack, anything he wants. 2 days before this vote, now we have new drawings. It's going to be a little tricky because what are they even going to vote on? New drawings, which the whole portico has been changed. The staircase to nowhere has been eliminated. These guys are totally not ready for prime time. And the answer from a couple of days, well, Donald Trump is the greatest builder in the world, so nothing to worry about. So first, it is a total frigging mess of a process. But for the historic trust, they would have just been going away. They just dug a big hole in the ground and then started with the national security. We have to, and Leon let him do it, as you say. The only hope here was the historic trust because Trump has totally captured the planning commission, and they didn't get it quite right at first. And so he said sorry, and now they've gotten it right. So that's point one, what a total mess it is, and not just in this sort of Trump completely vain, inane, permanent, gargantuan change to all of DC, but it's just a totally screwed up project, as you say. Point two, the solution here that Leon is saying that the law provides, it's so clearly the right solution. Trump wants to build something that more than, I think, doubles all the sort of square footage of the White House and puts this grotesque 40-foot ballroom on top. It totally changes the relationship of the different buildings, etc. He wants to do it and leave town and have it be another testimonial like the dollar bills, like the Trump Kennedy Center to him. It's got to be Congress. If they want to go for this and say, yay, maximum leader, well, this is the sort of thing like you do in Stalin's Russia, but if they want to do it, let them face their constituents who have a permanent stake, not the lame duck president who will build it and leave town. That's just a way of saying it's the right response. It's also the legal response. It doesn't matter if you reach into the pocket of rich donors, that makes it even worse to fund it. It's the whole friggin' building that completely blows look, it's the people's house. It's the people's property. It's the people's capital. All of those things. It doesn't matter where you get the money from. This has to be Congress's responsibility, and there has to be political accountability to the voters. Just the final point is, what a game of chicken we're playing. And you just heard Trump say, we don't need the 14 days. They want to just build and make it a fait accompli, and now it's too hard to tear down. And Leon played it straight, but now he finally has a cause of action. I view this as a major test of the legal system in this country, Ben, because we have in all these other areas been litigating temporary stopgap measures before you get to the main deal. This temporary stopgap measure is the stopgap measure, because if they give him time on some kind of temporary notion, well, for now, go ahead. This thing will be built up in a heartbeat, and the legal system, I think Leon will stop it. I think he will now come back and say, who do you think you're trying to kid with this, little maneuver? Is there some possibility that the DC Circuit says, well, this is really for the executive to decide, of the Supreme Court? That would be just, without even going on the law of it, an abject failure. This just should not stand. It changes the nation's capital for every 7th grade school trip that takes the bus and sees it. It would instead, we'd have this Trumpian monstrosity, or we'd have the serene capital that we've always had. This, if the legal system, and I mean the courts above Leon, really need to come through. I think they will, but there's going to be these abstract questions of executive power, blah, blah, blah. It could matter who the panel is, etc. But if you give him just a couple weeks, he will just start slapping it together and that's the goal, make it a fait accompli.
You and I have been on the ballroom beat now for quite some time, even doing videos where we listed the statutes that should be invoked. And we did this, the time space continuum blends together. But I want to say, whenever Trump made this announcement 6 months ago, 7 months ago, whenever he tore it down, and right as he was preparing it to do so, you and I were like, here's the lawsuit, file it. Here are the statutes. And then they filed it. And we told people it's actually a winning case if they filed it the right way. Right. But then the National Trust filed it the wrong way. I mean, look, I'm glad they filed it, but it is, look, to be fair, it was a bit of a case of first impression and who's ever filed this. So, I thought they were a little bit too cute by half and took for granted that it was so obvious. And the judge made
the time was clicking because
and the judge denied their preliminary injunction. Then you and I got a little bit of grief from people saying that we think that if it was filed the right way, that the trust would prevail. But then finally today, finally when we're recording this, the National Trust prevailed. And not only that, but now we're in this, I think this becomes a bigger issue, to your point, because Trump's not going to follow the order. And then we're going to have to see what Judge Leon does to say, no, it's not national security. And you're going to have a real standoff, because for Donald Trump, this ballroom, as crazy as it is his everything. Like, he loves it more than his kids. And so,
just briefly. So that first, you put it exactly right. You really get the impression that he doesn't care about policy things, but building the monument to Trump, he does care about. But second, he's been able to, as he's done in many areas, try to really make the game a crooked game in his favor. So you're exactly right, because there is going to be, on Thursday, in theory, there's a vote scheduled with what should be one of the two entities that have a real stake here, but they are completely in his pocket and they'll vote for anything. So all that's really left is one, the Historic Trust Preservation Society, that Congress has set up and is there saying this is Congress's job, and two, the right lawsuit, which they've now brought. So I think the next thing that happens is Leon reads them the Riot Act, but then they do an emergency effort to the DC Circuit. And unlike some of the other cases, if anytime they get just 12 hours, they'll be building and making it more of something that you can't reverse. You got to pray that the courts see that. I think they will. Really, it's almost unfathomable that this monstrosity should actually be part of the nation's capital going forward. But courts have been in many different cases so sympathetic to executive power kinds of claims. So we'll see. My best guess is this doesn't stand. That's not like the big prediction. It's a gun to my head prediction. But the big thing is he's maneuvered his way. So there's just this narrow channel, as you say, the one entity that can challenge. And the point is, man, oh man, if anything's for Congress, this is for Congress. And if anything requires Congress to have to face the voters and apoplectic people, how did you make this nation's capital so ugly at town meetings? It's this ultimate vanity project of Donald Trump's.
Everybody, make sure you hit subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube channel. It's called Talking Feds, Talking Feds Substack, Talking Feds Podcast, and the Talking Feds YouTube channel. Help Harry get 1 million subscribers. Thanks, Harry.
And help Ben get 7 million. Always a pleasure.
Everybody hit subscribe here.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.